During the European Seller Conference in Prague, which we organized for Amazon sellers, four Amazon experts were hosting VIP Mastermind roundtables. These experts were Tomer Rabinovich, Chris Rawlings, Stephen Pope, and Anthony Conferenciesco. And in this video, these Amazon experts are sharing their takeaways from the discussions they had in their roundtables, as well as common struggles Amazon sellers are facing right now. Besides that, in this video, you will hear also some tips on how you can maximize your Amazon sales. So watch this video, and if you want to visit next European Seller Conference, check the link below in the description. What common struggles did you notice among Amazon sellers at your roundtable?
Well, a lot of sellers came to the roundtable wanting to relaunch or re-rank listings that were already stale or not ranking or dead, even if they had had a lot of success in the past. And one of the biggest mistakes was they were dead set on re-ranking or relaunching those products, when first the step that has to be taken before that is benchmarking conversion and click-through rate against Product Opportunity Explorer and the Search Query Report, so you know, is it even possible for me to re-rank this product? And then once you decide that it is, yes, then you go into the whole protocol of re-ranking a product. But a lot of times, the right option is really just to kill it and stop losing money on it.
What I realized actually is that a lot of them are advanced sellers, which is great. Like, I think most of them here are like at least 3 years on Amazon. A lot of them are more than that. I think the common struggles are new products. I think all of them are kind of struggling with that. I think they also don't really know how to launch these days products, and it's so competitive on Amazon, so I think that's the struggle.
And do you have a quick solution for these big struggles?
Yeah, I think the main thing right now is to choose the right products. If you have the right product, everything else will fall in place. If you choose the wrong product, you cannot really do much. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you have the wrong product, you can't win.
So I'd say PPC advertising and where do I put my dollars? How do I do this? How do I level it up? People just simply don't know what they don't know. And they're struggling to figure out where to focus their time. So there's like 1,000 things that an Amazon seller can do. But there's only like 2 or 3 that an Amazon seller should do at any given time. So I'd say that was like half of the topic. The other half was about culture and hiring and organizational things, right? And I love culture. I've got 317 employees, and I have to hire nonstop because I'm growing 2x every single year. And so when I spoke to people, they're like, how do I hire my first VA? How do I hire my 10th employee? You know, like, how do I do the org chart? And so just trying to understand organizationally how to structure a company, because it has to be flexible for Amazon. It has to be scalable for all of the things that we deal with. It's very challenging.
I think the biggest ones are related to profitability. People want to make more profit per sale, and then also just managing really large product portfolios. A lot of the VIPs have really big product portfolios, and it's just a lot of moving pieces, a lot going on.
I guess you also had a chance to learn some new things during this VIP Mastermind. Can you share something you learned?
I think one of the really cool things I saw was around, I think they called it GS1 hero images. So it's basically looking at how to modify the product packaging in your hero image to be easier to read, more visually impressive, but it still looks like your same product packaging. I've never heard about this before. It's something I got to look into, but it seems pretty powerful.
Honestly, I was surprised at how many sellers were doing high SKU business models. Because a lot of sellers, at least in the community that I grew up in, I started selling in 2015, they develop individual products. A really excellent product launch clip is like 1 per month, and hitting that even is like a very difficult target. But there are a lot of sellers that had hundreds and hundreds of SKUs, and they had figured out rapid product launching, and sometimes their products were very similar to one another, but still had that high SKU model actually works. And so I got some information from them about how they run a high SKU model business, which I'm less familiar with.
Well, I love asking and facilitating other people's ideas and concentrations, and I really think that, you know, a lot of people who are dealing with like Chinese problems or logistics and bribery, like, you know, you order this orange mic one time and you're like, next time I want the same orange mic, and then they ship you blue and you're like, what the heck, right? And so I think a lot of people fundamentally don't realize that if you don't embrace the culture, if you don't speak Chinese, if you don't have a boot on the ground in China, you have no shot at fixing systemic problems like that. So it's kind of like a water glass, right? If you put your hand in the glass, you go and visit your manufacturer. If the water glass is the China and the manufacturer and you are the hand, you dip your hand in the water. The water moved while you were there. But the second you leave, the water went right back to where it was. And that's the sort of thing when I'm talking to other people and hearing their stories, that resonates a lot with me when they're dealing with that sort of stuff.
I realize that I keep hearing like the same things. I think also on stage now, like Thomas shared some stuff that we are doing for a few years now. I think that it's very good validation to hear like the same thing over and over again from different people, that we all kind of figure out the same stuff. So I kept hearing about what I just shared about new products and PPC. Like everything was just like everything that we already do, but hearing it from other people is great validation.
Can you give like a short 5 items checklist what they have to pay attention to?
100%. So one of the number one things, if you're just starting out on Amazon, is make sure that you have really strong branding. An easy way to do this is just show your own face and use your own personality and character as part of your branding. Everybody who's starting a brand is a person who understands people in some way. So you get a lot of points. You're able to charge higher prices. You could tell a good story in your brand story and your A+ content, and it just elevates the value of your brand if you tell a good brand story and have strong branding. So, and put your face on there. Human faces are proven to convert better on websites than the same websites with no human faces. So that's one. The second one is relating to Tomer's presentation that he just made. Provide a delightful experience for the customer. If they're not absolutely delighted, it's going to be way difficult to do everything else you need to do. Like we were talking about, the foundation of PPC sits on click-through rate and conversion rate. Well, those two sit on another foundation, and that's the customer experience. If they're having a good experience, it's going to be way easier to get reviews, way easier for you to get a higher review rating, way easier to stick ranking, and way easier for you to charge higher prices. So that's another one. Third one I would say is make sure that you launch properly, primarily using PPC. So PPC is like the number one launch tool that you can use. If you have dialed in your branding and your product development, launching with PPC should be relatively easy. But we had sellers that said, hey, look, I'm selling organically like really well already. Why should I spend for the sales when I'm already like starting to rank and I'm already selling well? Well, you're actually missing out if you're doing that. You should be spending on PPC. You should have a target TACoS, which is total average cost of sale, that's not 0. It has to be higher because otherwise somebody else is going to spend that money and they'll bump you down the rankings. So have a good PPC ranking strategy, and usually that comes down to single keyword, exact match campaigns for the keywords that you're relevant for. So that's 3. 2 more, right?
2 more.
All right. So the last 2 is make sure to express your brand's character through these 2 modules. One is the brand story, and the second one is the A+ content. Those are the 2 things that can really set you apart. So I'm going to bundle my last 2 in those 2 things. You have to be brand registered to get these 2 modules. Most sellers, I'd say 90%, 80 to 90% don't even do the brand story. They don't know it exists, or they don't know how to do it. It's so easy. You could do it in one single night. It's literally a series of cards, and you only have 3 options for the formats for the cards, so anybody can do it. And the A+ content is something that people actually end up seeing first on the listing, because shoppers scroll down to the bottom to see the reviews, and then they start scrolling back up from the bottom once they're happy with the reviews. So it's one of the first things that shoppers actually see, and people ignore it. So spend time on those 2 things. You'll be able to charge higher prices, get more reviews, get more conversions.
Tip number 1, stick to what you know. If you don't understand the product, do not sell it. Tip number 2, make sure you have a budget that makes sense, right? If you are trying to bootstrap, if you're going to lose your shirt or your rent, you're not ready to sell on Amazon. You need to go work for somebody else for a couple of years before you do that. Tip number 3, side hustle Amazon for a solid year before you go full time. And I think that's really crucial and important because you have to learn a lot of things. You can't pull money out of your Amazon brand in that first year. Tip number 4, when you first launch, make sure everything is ready at the same time. And that means your title, your bullets, your images, your A+ content. Don't forget that tricky brand story everybody seems to forget about. That search term behind the scenes, when you go to edit the search term field, there's a lot of information that needs to be built into the listing and fully optimized. And then finally, my 5th tip is never go out of stock. And I'm serious. If you go out of stock, it's like all of that hard work we just talked about goes out the window, and you have to start over. And it's like your honeymoon period is gone. So go on your honeymoon, make sure it's a great event, and don't go out of stock.
I think the biggest thing is for sure, before you launch one product, research a whole bunch of different products. It's really just a numbers game. You have to make the numbers make sense first and foremost. So that's the biggest thing. Take your time. Don't just jump into it, right? Make sure you understand what you're doing first. And the more that you understand, the more you can learn at events like this on the YouTube channel, the higher chance of success that you're going to have.
And 4 more tips for... oh, it's enough for you. Okay. All right, so it was the first bullet point. Do you have few more checkpoints to share with starting out Amazon sellers?
Yeah, make sure you understand what a honeymoon period is. Really important. It's during the first 30 days or so of launching a product. Amazon is going to put you up against the top sellers in the category, and if you compete, you're going to gain rank very fast. On top of that, make sure you always are running PPC. You cannot sell on Amazon without doing PPC. A lot of people go wrong. Make sure you accurately forecast your costs. A lot of people are going to run out of money. Make sure you accurately forecast your inventory. Most sellers will run out of stock and it'll tank their launches. So that might be 5.
So anything that is released by Amazon, you just need to stay on top of it. Like OrangeClick is putting a lot of good content out there, so watch that. They just released like new PPC features last week, so you need to be up to date on everything going on and make sure like they're first on everything because no one is doing that yet. So.
If you would like to join the next European Seller Conference in Prague, check the link below in the description, and it's a great opportunity to network with other 7-figure Amazon sellers from Europe and other countries. Besides that, we invite a lot of Amazon thought leaders, experts, whom you can approach in person and talk to them during the lunch breaks, during the VIP dinner, etc. And now I would like to invite you to watch the next video where we interview some of the European Seller Conference attendees, and let's see what they talk about this event and what was their experience.